Hey everyone! This is a quick video on how to make a pom-pom using the Clover Pom-pom Maker, which you can see right here. And this is the smallest size of pom-pom maker that Clover has. The other ones are bigger, up to big pom-poms that you can put on your hats. And this one, which is extra small, makes a pom-pom about this size. So you can kind of tell how big the pom-pom is going to be based on the circle part of the pom-pom maker. So this is kind of about twice the size, and they kind of scale up like that. So for this tutorial, you'll just need one Clover Pom-pom maker, a pair of scissors, and the yarn that you want the pom-pom to be made of. So when you get your pom-pom maker, what you'll notice is that these two arches, they kind of bend out, and there are 4 of them, and there's 1 pair on each side. So make sure that the 2 arches on each side are aligned like this, because you don't want to get them out of sync. And then what you want to do is pick one side, doesn't matter which side, and just start wrapping your yarn around the arch. And make sure that you don't get the yarn onto any of the 2 edges that you see over here. So just wrap it around the arch part only. And you can go around a couple times from left to right. It doesn't really matter whether you do it all at once or you go from side to side. And what you really want to do is you want to be filling up this little gap in the bottom arch so that it's straight across. So just keep wrapping and just get the tail out of the way until you fill up that little bottom arch space. So I've just about finished now, and you can tell because when you look across, that little bottom arch is not there anymore because it's been filled up by the yarn, which is what you want it to look like. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay the arches down flat, and I'm just going to pass the yarn through the gap between each side of the arch. And by passing through the gap, I'm going to go onto the next arch, the next pair of arches. And then we're just going to repeat the step of winding the yarn around the arches until it fills up the middle. Alright, so I've just about finished, and as you can see again, this line on the bottom is flat, and you can't see that arch anymore. So I can just pass the yarn through that gap again, and just cut it. It doesn't really matter where you cut it because we're just going to be trimming it later on. So now your pom-pom maker should look like this with the yarn wrapped all around. So grab your scissors, and then we're going to be cutting the wrapped yarn following the little groove. So I'm just going to insert my scissors into the groove between the 2 arches and just start cutting the yarn. And I'm going to flip it over and continue doing it on the other side. And be careful that you don't let the arches come up, because then all of the yarn will fly away and you won't have a pom-pom anymore. Alright, so when you make sure that all of the strands are cut, oh, missed one over there. So when you think you've gotten all of the wrapped yarn, grab another piece of yarn in the same color as the yarn that you used to wrap the pom-pom maker. And cut it to about maybe 1 foot in length. And we're just going to wrap the yarn, the scrap yarn, around the between the 2 arches on one side, and make sure it gets all the way inside. You might have to tug a little bit, but make sure it's really stuck. Then wrap the 2 sides around and through the other pair of arches and cross them over. And just pull really hard until they're stuck, so that you know that it's wrapped around the center. and then flip it over and do it one more time for good measure. We just really don't want the pom-pom strands to come out because then your pom-pom will completely fall apart. So once you feel that the two sides of the scrap yarn are secure, we can work some magic, and we're just going to pull these arches back on both sides, and then pull apart the two sides of the pom-pom maker like this. And there we have our pom-pom. So you will notice that there are probably a lot of little bits flying off of it, so you can just trim them carefully. And if the overall size of the pom-pom is too big, this is a good time to trim it down as well, or switch to different pom-pom maker size. But generally, I just trim away the little strands that were left over from before. And then you can fluff it out a little bit to make sure that the strands are uniform all around. And you have a pom-pom. If you like this video, like and subscribe to be notified whenever I release a new one.